Good morning, folks. I'm in the very unenviable position of standing between you and coffee over there, so we'll jump right in and see if we can kind of take care of this for you. As Officer Chris was just saying out there, there's so many things that can happen these days that we need to be prepared for. What we'd like to do is just take you through the Alertus solution real quickly and tell you pretty much what it can do for you and why it's very, very important for you. First of all, by a show of hands, how many people here use some sort of an emergency notification solution? Everbridge, SendWord, Now, Mir3, any of those? Pretty much everybody in the room. That's good. This system here is not by any means a replacement for those type systems. As a matter of fact, this is very, very integrated right at the API level, and we'll talk about that as we go through. Show you real quickly what the system does, and most important, what's in it for you. Typically, what we find talking to large corporations like yours is we have the challenges that are pretty much whether you're in the financial spectrum, whether you're in healthcare, higher ed, you've got many, many buildings, many offices, many locations, a lot of challenges that you need to be able to take care of. Using today's emergency notification solutions, they're what they're called directory-based solutions. In other words, you take everybody in your company, you load them into the system, and when something goes wrong, you push the button, and it calls everybody. When you've got 100 people in your company, that can be a bit challenging. As you start to go up in the order of magnitude to 1,000 people, 10,000, 100,000, maintaining a list like that is sometimes one step shy of impossible. The other thing that Chris had mentioned there during his presentation a few minutes ago, what about all the other people that are in your building? Visitors, guests, clients, people that are just walking through your lobby. Bob Facito and I sat downstairs at 383 Madison at his facility, and there was probably at any given time 200 people in that lobby that are coming in to either sign in to get into the building or just passing through. How do you let those people know what's going on if you've got an active shooter situation? At the end of the day, what you need to do is you need to have a system in place that no matter what happens, you can get in touch with everybody out there and let them know exactly what is going on and more so how to protect themselves. If you look at your systems you have in place today, you've got an emergency notification system. They're all built like this. There's nothing wrong with it. This is how they're all designed. They work off of a directory, and they do three primary things. They call you, they text you, and they send you an email. What Alertus does, by the addition of the Alertus module, we come in and we give you a whole bunch of other modalities that you can utilize as part of your notification techniques. Most of these are things that you currently have right now in your facilities. Everybody sits at a desk. They've got a computer sitting in front of them. So probably one of the most primary ways and the fastest ways to notify people are right up at their desktop. You've got digital signage around your office facilities. These 4 monitors right here, as I came in the lobby downstairs, there are 3 or 4 of them down there. You can utilize those type of modalities as well. We have, people say, what is that crazy thing over there? It's flashing every one of these CPE meetings. That's an alert beacon. Those can be located anywhere that you want to put one. Typically, we see those near elevator banks. We see them in corridors. We see them in meeting rooms, places where people may gather, but there may not be other technologies in place. They may not have their phone with them. They may not have a PC in front of them. And there's a whole bunch of other modalities that are in there. On the input side, there's also a whole bunch of other ways that we can set the system off. Sometimes it's just as easy for somebody to be sitting down at a workstation. You can be at your desk. You can be at my desk. You can be at your home on your PC. You can be at my home on my PC. As long as you've got the right login credentials, you can very quickly and very easily get into the system and set it off. If you've got the proper administration rights, you can also modify the message, completely change the message, generate a new message, and send that out, not only from a browser-based PC, but also from, I'm reaching for my phone, it's on the desk down there, but from any iPhone or iPad or any Android-type device, you'll have total access to do that. Down in the bottom left-hand side, Chris had mentioned a few times the duress switch. We give you the ability to have, on the bottom left, it's that's the overt type of a panic button. That's something that would mount on the wall that looks a little bit like a fire pole. We also have more of a discrete button that goes below a desk. And also, on each PC, and I'm going to show you this in just a minute, you can, from any PC out there, you can actually set a panic alarm out, and it will tell them exactly where you're sitting. So if I were to trigger it from the 47th floor, and I'm in office 10, it'll say that the panic switch will know exactly where to go. What's in this for you? First of all, it's going to complement what you're doing today. We are not out to replace your Everbridge system, your Sendword Now system, Mir 3. We're going to work in harmony with it. As I mentioned, these are integrated at the API level, so they'll continue to do the phone calls, they'll continue to do the email and the text messaging. We come in with all the other modalities in there to allow you to very, very quickly get the message out to everybody, not only your employees, but guests, visitors, clients, anybody else that's in your facility. So we can warn everybody, not just your employees. So we also get you away from that, the feeling that you have to have all the names in the directory. We can get you around that obstacle. When seconds count from a single launch point. In some instances, from my front end, I can set off your E&S system. In other instances, from their front end, they can set off my system. In the case of like Everbridge, it's bi-directional. I can set off the Everbridge system. Everbridge from their front end can set off my system. So at the end of the day, for you, the benefit is from a single launch point, you can very, very quickly notify everybody that there's something going on. In keeping with the theme of today's meeting for active shooter, I need to ask you to participate sort of in your mind. I'm not going to call on anybody. This is sort of a rhetorical type of a thing. But if you would, just think through this with me. Set the scene. We're in a meeting here in a conference room, very similar to here, 47th floor. The situation becomes and we've heard this a couple of times this morning, you have an irate employee that somehow gains access up here to the building. Hundreds of ways that they can do that. That's how they get there is not important. The assessment that happens real quickly is that somebody out front hears the person making threats and they notice that the person is armed. At this point in time, I need everybody to just start to think through your current system today what you would do at that point. And how long is it going to take you between finding out about it until you can actually start ringing phones and making people aware? The process sometimes can get, it can be a little bit intimidating. If a receptionist has to call a security has to check the procedure, verify the procedure, because they just can't push, an all-out, klaxon alarm that, that there's something going on. They've got to verify. I actually stood inside the Operation Control Center of one of the major airlines one day during an active drill. It took 6 minutes from the time the airplane reported the incident on board the plane until the button was pushed to start to gather the people into the OCC. That scared the heck out of me. If I was ever on that airplane, it took 6 minutes after somebody said, hey, we're being hijacked, before people started to react. You've all heard Bo Mitchell come up here and say two very important things. One is most active shooter instances are over in how many minutes? 8 minutes or less, they're over. If it takes you 2 or 3 minutes to get the word out to people, you're halfway through the incident. Think about if somebody comes in with a gun. If I'm standing here right now and I run out that door into the office area for 3 minutes, how much damage I could do. So you want to have a way around that. I had mentioned, I'm going to come out of the PowerPoint for a minute here so I can get to my desktop. I had mentioned that all the systems under the Alertus, when using the Alertus system, all the desktops have the ability to fire off a panic. If I'm sitting out in the reception area, and let me see if I can find my mouse up here, there we go, and I see somebody run into my office by 2 mouse clicks, right click there, press for help, I am done. Okay, at that point, within about 2 to 3 seconds, every PC in the building here is going to light up saying that an active shooter instance is going on up in the 47th floor. So you can have that all pre-built into the system, so somebody can very quickly, without having to go in and notify anybody, they can very, very quickly set an alarm off and warn everybody that there is actually something going on. And as I mentioned, because of the fact that the system has intelligence built into it, it will know exactly where that, where the station is that called that panic alarm mode. Questions? I got one Jason, I just wanted to jump. Let me go back in here 1 second here. Jason Volk is here with me today. Jason is the CEO of Alertus. He asked if he could just have 1 minute just to say hi to everybody. And
it's good partnering with CPE. We've really, to the presentation that Tom shared, is the need for things to be integrated as an ecosystem. So for there to be intelligent notification. If a fire alarm occurs, the desktops pop up and say fire incident. In the reverse situation, if you have a lockdown, you don't want someone necessarily pulling that fire alarm in most instances, as we talked about earlier. You want for the fire alarm notification appliances to be suppressed. You want, of course, first responders to be aware of an incident. that might have occurred. But under the new fire alarm codes for 2010, for 2013, sweeping changes have occurred where you're now required to have these systems integrated. And the Alertus system can bring that level of intelligence across the system. So if an active shooter alert goes out, immediately the notification appliances on the fire system will be suppressed across the enterprise. And that's just an example of how systems are designed to nowadays integrate as a truly net-centric mass notification system from an intelligibility standpoint. Tom pulled up just a few of our clients. We've had the privilege over the last 15 years. We got started about 15 years ago after a tornado that ripped through the University of Maryland campus. And today we have the privilege of serving hundreds, really, I think approaching thousands of clients at this point, ranging from Disney to Microsoft to hundreds of universities, the U.S. Capitol, and a number of others. And be a privilege to partner with any of the organizations that you all represent as well. So thank you.